Welcome back, everyone. This is Homeschooling the Key of Life. And as I promised, here with my special guest, friend of the show, my good brother, Dr. Samori Camara. Welcome.
Sawubona, sister. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Again, it's always good to come here and speak with you about these very important topics that are important to our community and our babies and our young warriors. So thank you again for inviting me.
Of course, we can't have a conversation about what's happening in the community of African-centered homeschooling without bringing you into it. So I'm a firm believer, and it's been underscored in a lot of ways in my life over the past year, that we as a people could go further if we, instead of constantly trying to reinvent the wheel, we were willing to add some strength to voices that are already out there, add some volume to those voices and make it real big and see the bigger picture. And no, this person is doing this. Let's support them and find out ways that we can make this big for us.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Definitely understand that that there are a lot of people that are doing some great work, around African-centered education in particular, and the education of our children in general. So definitely, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, just a little bit of research will unearth so many African people doing the kind of work that has been needed for years and years and years. Now it is on our table. All we need to do is feast.
Yeah. And I think that if we had a conversation, and this conversation really is not, this is not off the subject, because I think we both also agree that there is a strong role that entrepreneurial skills can play in the success of our homeschooling journey with our kids. And so I think if we were to do that research you mentioned and to reach out more, we would find a lot of African entrepreneurs who need support. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And who
Absolutely.
are struggling as islands, not
Hmm.
realizing that folks are willing to help. So, but yeah, for this and so many reasons, really glad to have you on here. I have so much to talk to you about, but I want to start close to home. I
Hmm.
want to start off on the parenting side, and it's kind of funny to say that because we can't really separate, the parenting from the homeschooling if you're doing it in the
Hmm.
way we are.
Right, right, right.
But you are now the father of two.
Yes, yes. I have 11-year-old daughter and a
Mhm.
14-month-old son at this
Wow.
moment. So I'm in the gym. I'm in the gym all the time so that when he's old enough to play basketball and all that kind of stuff, I can still
Yeah.
run with him.
Yep. And he's putting you in through the home gym, because I know 14 months is an active age.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. It's a joy. It's my first son. It's my oldest boy. That's how we say it. It's my oldest
Yeah.
boy right now. So it's an interesting journey because having a daughter, being a quote unquote girl dad or girl baba for
Mhm.
11 years has been a challenge in itself, and has been wonderful in many ways, right? But now having a boy in this kind of society, when I lost my father when I was 10,
Mm.
and my father and my mother separated when I was 3. So I don't
Mhm.
even have many memories of my
Yeah.
father. I mean, matter of fact, I have three and three. And that's it. I just have
Wow.
3 memories. And so with that being the case, I'm thinking about the kind of memories I want him to have of me, the kind of
Yeah.
legacy I want to leave to him and my daughter. So it fuels me in a very important way to live my purpose, to live my increbia, as they say in Ghana, to the fullest.
Yeah. So I'm the mother of two,
Hmm.
two girls, but definitely two completely different human beings.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, that's something that is one of the challenges in my journey, because I think, and you can comment on this, I think a lot of us believe when the next child comes along that, oh, I already have the blueprint because I did it with the first child. And to some extent, yeah, but this is a whole nother human being.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will worry. I mean, any parent that I talk to who have multiple children and they're talking about curriculum and they're talking about resources for those children, they know that one child is not going to learn, one child is not going to adhere to or love the same things at the same time, right? So that's definitely the case with these young warriors. I mean, just because I have 11 years of experience with a daughter, I tell you, in many ways, it has not prepared me for my 14-month experience with this young brother. So it's a brand new learning experience. It's just like you, right? You're a midwife. You have different, even though you have been involved with different um, births, right? Each one is different. Each one has their special circumstances. Each one has, a different feel, environment, and vibe. So you have to take that into consideration and roll with it.
And I think that we have to be careful to stay away from comparison
Hmm.
when it comes to our kids, even from
Hmm.
when they are extremely young. Sorry about
Hmm.
that. I'm gonna pause the recording. This guy is here to change my light bulb of all
Oh,
time.
a
One
guy is
moment.
there to change your light bulb.
I'm so sorry. Well, yes. I thought you guys were in the middle of recording a long interview. Can, can I get you to come back? Oh, that's fine. Okay, I'll put it in again. Thank you so much. Yeah, I put
Oh,
them to call me. I said, please call me because I
oh, okay,
may
okay, okay.
in a
It,
meeting when you all come.
I can
That
dig
didn't.
that. I had a guguy come and change my light bulb as well. It was
Well,
for it was
that
for it was
happened
it
too.
was it was under the it's like under the microwave and on top of the
Oh,
stove.
yeah, the
Yeah. So
range.
anyway, yeah, right. So I
Yeah.
got you. We
No,
good.
but I definitely put a note and said, please call me. And I was like, oh, here he is right
There
now.
he
Thank.
is.
Okay, I'm gonna resume. So the comparisons can come in, I think, in the same way that we compare our kids to anyone, and we have to
Hmm.
watch out for it because it happens in sneaky ways in our mind. We start to compare the journey. I
Hmm.
remember, I started at 1 with my oldest daughter, like, and not just, we play and sometimes we count or whatever. No, like intentionally homeschooling her.
Hmm. Hmm.
For her, that worked. Like we
Hmm.
spent time each day doing things, small things, but that's what we did. And then
Hmm.
I met my second daughter,
You
and
met her.
yes, I met this person, and we didn't start formally until she was
Hmm.
like 1.5.
Hmm.
And now, I'm watching her journey and I'm having to let go of what I realized was comparisons in my mind.
Hmm.
My youngest daughter, like working through things that were not a part of the journey with my oldest daughter began speaking. She was super clear. You understood everything she
Hmm.
said. My second daughter, she is having to go through some therapy and some practice that I do with her for speech for things like the
Hmm.
letter R. And I just thought, like, oh, I don't have kids who need this type of a journey. Like, this is the journey I've decided for anyone who comes from me.
Right.
But learning that, and then also not only the academic differences, and I wanted you to weigh in on this, on this comparison in this way, academically and also emotionally,
Hmm.
understanding the ways that we have to show up differently to parent this person where they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when you speak about comparison, I immediately think about the quote, comparison is a thief of all joy, right? It doesn't allow you to see the person that's in front of you or who is in front of
Yeah.
you. You're looking at them through the lens of someone else. We
Mhm.
do that with our children when we're talking about other people outside of our family, and as you're talking about also within our family. Um, every flower blooms at their own time,
Yeah.
right? If if you have two friends, right, that you can talk to one a certain way, you can talk to one about certain things, and the conversation is going to grow and be fruitful. You have to talk to the other one about different things because they ain't into the stuff that the other one is into. So we understand that when it comes to our friends and the people in our community, but it might be a little bit more difficult when it comes to our children, because we believe like, yo, they coming from this good stock here that
Mhm.
we're not going to have those certain things. And it is said that a lot of times the second child or the younger child, it is, it's sometimes more advanced
Yeah.
than the older child. So we'll hear stories about that. We'll hear research that says those kind of things, and then we're like, yo, what's going on here? You're
Yeah.
supposed to be, if she did this at 1 years old, you should be
Right.
doing it at, because you have her as an example. But again, even in the same environment, our children need different nurturing, right? Need different kind of seed and water and fertilizer to allow them to grow the way they should grow.
Yeah. And isn't that fundamentally what drives us to homeschool, when we have the realization that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here saying every child at age 7
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it should have this academic list mastered.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Should know to do this, should be on this level with this subject, this level with this subject. You know what I mean?
And that's not realistic. That is not realistic. Who said that every 7-year old, who said that every 9-year old, who said that every 12-year old should know the same thing at the same time?
Right.
There's a vast array of knowledge in the universe, right? Who sat down and said, every child should know this minuscule fraction of the knowledge? It is absurd. This is what the public school system has done and continues to do. And we compare and measure ourselves and our children by their standard. And we homeschool because we don't want to go by their standard. We don't need a common core, right? We need an
Right.
African core. And our children, again, are different. They're going to learn at different rates. And they might not need to know what the other one knows. I
Right.
don't listen, you have a lot of expertise, so do I. You know things, many things that I do not know. And I'm okay with that, right? I know some things that you might not know. Okay. But we can come together like you did in this interview. You call me up and say, hey, this guy has a little bit of expertise in such and such. Let me lean on him for this. If I have, when I have any needs for, birthing and birth services, who am I coming to? I'm coming to you. That is a community. And it should be the same way with our students. That was I saw a meme the other day. It said that if every teacher cannot be trusted to teach every subject in school, right? How can a child be, how could you expect a child to learn every subject,
Yeah.
right? And if you're and I bring it back to something I've said before, I thought before, if a child has an A in every subject, are they are they really equally intelligent in every subject, or have they learned how to play the game of school?
Yeah. Which is, just remember this that I said and just spit it back to me.
Right, right, exactly. That's it. So yes, it's an interesting dynamic comparison and understanding that our young warriors may be on different tracks
Mhm.
and then coming from the same starting line, and that's fine.
And that's the danger when we come into homeschooling and we are still secretly, covertly
Mhm.
dependent on the system. Because I see that. I've met people who are homeschooling, but they're almost like afraid, like
Mhm. Mhm.
plantation and we're happy about it, but we always gonna look over our shoulder. Like, nah, if
Right.
we go a little further, we can truly be free and be totally out of their jurisdiction altogether. And they don't have anything to do with us. Because I see that a lot of times where folks are like, literally going by the same state curriculum,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
and just because your
Absolutely.
child isn't sitting in the desk at, so and so elementary, but you still are.
You're still getting the same indoctrination, right?
Mhm.
You're still putting them on the same trajectory towards miseducation in
Yeah.
many ways. But the question I ask parents all the time is, at the end of the day, the end of the school year, at the end of your homeschooling journey with your child, whose well done are you seeking, right?
Right.
Who do you want to pat you on the back, right? And many of us covertly, overtly, whatever, maybe we won't say it out of our mouths, but we want the system to say that your
Yeah.
child has a stamp of approval by us, that you
Yeah.
did a good job of making sure they have learned what we wanted them to learn. Thank you. Right. For me, it is whether or not my children learn what they desire them to learn is way on the back burner. I want my children to understand their purpose. Listen, matter of fact, I would rather my children learn to manipulate numbers well, learn basic mathematics seriously. I mean, and have their arithmetic on another level.
Mhm.
I will want them to learn how to read and write well so they can communicate, with our community and our people very effectively in a verbal and written way. And there's also, of course, read so that they can read all of our classes and get the information. Outside of that,
Yeah.
it's up in the air for me.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you want to be when you grow up? Okay. You want to be a doula. You want to be a midwife. That's what we're going to learn about. You're going to learn history with that. You're
Mhm.
going to learn social studies with that. You're going to learn, science with that. You're going to learn everything you need to know within that particular career field, if that's what you desire, if you already know how to read, write, and do
Mhm.
arithmetic well. For me, that's where it is. I don't care about anybody else's standards other than the standards my child have for themselves and where they want to go.
Yeah, and that's powerful because what is the goal? What's the end goal? And
Mm-hmm,
if we are deciding the end goal, we will transition from here hopefully before our children do.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So is that end goal supposed to be about us, or is it supposed to be what is my child, what would make my child feel happy and fulfilled in this life?
mm-hmm,
But they
mm-hmm.
need to do that. Or is college the end goal? Because that throws us off a lot with
Right,
homeschooling, where we're free, but free-ish because we're still scared of, but what'll happen if they don't? And I'm not
right.
downing higher education at all because I pursued it
Mm-hmm.
wholeheartedly,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it does make me think now, knowing what I know of, like, before, like when I was in grades K through 12, you would
Yes,
have asked me, what's the goal? Obviously, it's
it's
college.
college. For what
That's
reason?
the goal. Because if not,
Yeah.
you will ruin your life.
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yep. No, that's real. I mean, that's one of the things. Is college? That's another question. Is college the only end goal that we have, right? And I say, if our depends on what our children want to be, and if the way society is going right now, colleges are going to be obsolete very soon. I doubt my 14-year-old son, even my 11-year-old daughter, will need to go to college to gain even technical, really, really seriously technical
Yeah.
information that you can only get on a college level. In terms of, economically, is it important? Um, in terms of the networking, okay, maybe. But outside of that, in a few, very few careers, college is probably not the best way to go for a lot of folks. At Kamali Academy, we try to get our young warriors, particularly when they get to eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, we want them to begin to take community college courses just so they can get those credits that they might need if they want to go that route.
Mhm.
But also we want them to do apprenticeships or even get a job. Start
Yeah.
to learn about the stuff that you really, really want to do. Or you want to be a lawyer? Okay, go and work. I know a brother, I know a sister who's a lawyer. Go and work with them. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, instead of coming to us, you go to them. See if that's really what you want to do, right? Get that experience. And that's how we deal with the whole college debate. Because you might
Yeah.
see that, nah, that's probably not what I want to do. And as an
No,
entrepreneur, you might want to do something else as well. And you can get started with that as soon as possible.
yeah. That's you answered my next question really, because I was going to ask you, speaking of the, comparisons and dealing with two different people and even two different levels. So I'm
Hmm.
still in the early years of homeschooling. My oldest daughter is 8.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I know that you have worked with our scholars all the way up through high school
Right.
age. So
Absolutely.
I'll ask you about that, like what you say to those scholars,
Hmm.
these young warriors who are getting ready to enter the world for themselves, and how we prepare them from a homeschooling point of view.
Hmm. No, so exactly what I said before. I want to understand who they are and what they want. Okay, what do you want to do with your life? What do you feel like is your purpose? And if you've been homeschooling a young warrior for a number of years, you kind of already know. right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening in the conversations, if you understand them, if you have connected as we should, and because without connection, you're not going to be able to help a person learn, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so once they get to that age, I'm already developing options for them. So community college or online college classes, I think it's cool for high school students, especially if they are on that level. Go ahead on and do it. But number one for me is apprenticeship. Number one is to go learn by doing, right? Because you're going to learn so much about yourself. You're, of course, going to learn about the field that you would like to go in. And how many people, once they get out of college with that degree and all that debt, they still go into a career and they still have to be what? Trained, because they don't know anything. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
know, you know
It's
what the book
true.
has told you, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Or you might have some sisters come to you, they might know what they have read and studied, but when it comes to actually doing the kind of work that you do, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot more nuance to it that you have to understand. So we want our young warriors as early as possible to start understanding those nuances, start to understand what it really, really takes to be what they want to be, and make sure they are that for us. As they get older, they're reading more and more about us. They're reading more of our
Yeah.
philosophy, more of our, scholars, more of our stuff, because we understand that if you have a thorough knowledge of self, if you have a great foundation and roots in who you are, you can go wherever and do whatever and bring whatever we need back for us. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that be college, whether that be wherever it is, once you have that foundation, we'll let you go anywhere and fly and grow, and be a great warrior for us.
So while we're talking tools then to put into their hands so that they are
Mhm.
ready, and I'm laughing to myself because I remember being a senior in high school in
Mhm.
Houston Independent School District, good old public school, and
Mhm.
I remember they came in and literally gave us a book that the state of Texas put out, and it said, "So now you're 18." That was the name of the book.
So now you're 18.
So this was supposed to be, yeah. And the book was really, really thin. It was supposed to be,
Mm,
a manual, I guess, to give you the overview of here's the types of things you want to do as an adult,
right, right, right.
those kind of things. But when we talk about really truly preparing our scholars, the top two things that come to my mind are
Mhm.
entrepreneur skills
Mhm.
and technology. So
Technology.
yeah, so we've
Mhm.
talked
Mhm.
about entrepreneurial skills a bit, and I want to come back to that, but I want to go into technology,
Right.
the role that it plays in our preparation for the
Mhm.
future. Because I mean, the future is now, where everything
Absolutely.
happens over, technology and utilizing these platforms.
Mhm.
How critical is it that homeschooling parents incorporate technology into their homeschooling in some way? And
Mhm.
what are some of the ways that you encourage scholars? Well, I'll just say families because the parents
Mhm.
have to get it going. But what are some of the ways that you encourage them to use technology and thinking towards their future and
Mhm.
preparing them for entrepreneurship and other things?
It's a great, great question. A couple years ago, I used to say that coding is going to be more important than reading, right? In a couple years. That's what I used to say that, right? But now we're a couple years in the future.
Mhm.
And now I'm not thinking that coding will be as important as reading and writing. I think reading and writing is it's much more important, because if you can read and write well, you
Mhm.
can have, your AI technology do all the coding for you very, very
Oh, right,
quickly.
right.
So you can, if you don't read or write well, you will not be able to prompt the technology to enhance your own human ability, right? And
Mhm.
so I'm telling parents that, listen, we have to introduce these things to our children. We have to create our own AI systems as well,
Mm.
but we have to introduce them to them so that they will understand how it works, why it works, right? Where does the input come in from, because there's a lot of racial bias that is baked into to many of these things, because the people who feed the information to it don't look like us, right?
Mhm.
The same people who created the curriculum, they don't look like us. They
Mhm.
don't necessarily care about us, but there are many ways that we can use that the AI, right, or the artificial intelligence, the African intelligence that is coming down the pike
I
to
love
help
that.
us as African people. But we're asking them to use it to help them with their business, to help them with their websites, to help them with the language to use,
Mhm.
when they're crafting emails to their potential customers and all that kind of stuff. We have a young brother who has launched, a whole clothing line,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And he is on
Oh, yeah.
Instagram
Yes.
every day doing his thing, you
I love
know. And I've been using, all of the technology to augment what I've been doing in terms of curriculum, to help them develop themselves, right? I think one of the ways that AI can be used also is to really, really categorize and catalog our greatest wisdom and knowledge, right?
Mm.
You can create your own artificial intelligence chatbot, right? That's been trained only on our resources, if that's what you want to do. Only on Ella Baker, only on Harriet Tubman and Chancellor Williams and Amos Wilson and Marcus Garvey. You can put all of their stuff into this chatbot, and when you ask a question of it, it's going to come from that perspective and their perspective,
Mm.
their knowledge and their wisdom, their principles, their values, right? And so I think that's another way that we can use it. I read a book called AI 2024. No,
I gotta write
2041.
that down.
It's AI 2041. And it's a number of stories. It's 10 stories. It is a collaboration between a fiction writer and an AI scientist, and
Okay.
where this AI scientist, gives all the information about what's going to be possible by that time,
Yeah.
right? And the AI writer, I mean the fiction writer, takes it and spins beautiful stories out of it. Now there is a story about education within it, where it's two brothers, two twin brothers, um, and they both have their own AI agent, AI mentor, avatar, or whatever it is that helps them in everything that they do, right? And so whatever they want to learn about, that AI thing is there to help them, right? Whatever
Mm.
they want to do, that AI thing is there to help them do it. And it's a powerful thing because I can see it happening very, 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 very quickly,
Yeah.
right? Because we teachers are going to be totally about the relationship and guides and coaches, because we will have an AI teacher that will know all of the facts, right? That we need
Yeah.
to know, can synthesize a whole bunch of information and summarize things pretty quickly, right? So as a parent, as a guide for the students, then we just help them navigate through that information and help
Mhm.
them prompt the information, or prompt the agent to get the exact things that we want out of it. I'm sorry, I've been talking way too long on
No, no, that's
that.
okay. What you just said made me think, hmm, it would take, I think, a homeschooled child who was homeschooled in this type of philosophy to be such a teacher. who could
Absolutely.
who could actually, be there just as a guide, and and just a catalyst as these children are creating from themselves. I
Mm-hmm.
think classrooms in that sense in the future will become almost like incubators with, the new, what's his name, the Facebook kid, the guy who invented Facebook, Mark
Zuckerberg. Yeah.
Zuckerberg.
Yes.
That's going to start to be elementary aged children
Hmm. Hmm.
rolling those things out, and technology also. I mean, what would you say, because there are still people who are very weary and afraid.
Yes.
And I find, and maybe your experience is different, but most of the time, this is coming to me from like first time parents and parents who have like really, really young children, and they're really weary of introducing technology.
Hmm.
What would you say to them? And how early is too early to begin really trying to make technology become a positive part of your child's life?
It's again another great question. I put up a quote on the Book of Faith some months ago, and I asked the question. I said, "What for you was like licking honey off of a razor?
Hmm.
What for you was like licking honey off of a razor, right? So something that was sweet at the beginning, but you found that, oh, this that wasn't a
Mhm.
good idea.
Mhm.
And many of those parents said, putting the iPad in my child's hand for
Mhm.
learning, right? Because they become addicted to that, right? And
Yeah.
if you take it away from them, it's a struggle. So I would say I would hold off as long as possible,
Yeah.
and keep things as natural as possible when it comes to guiding and helping your young warriors learn things.
Mhm.
Everything around them, right, is going to push the technology and push the AI. And so
Yeah.
in your own home, you kind of keep that sacred. I mean, if your child watches YouTube, you're using AI. If you watch Netflix, you're using AI. Whatever you do right now, artificial intelligence is at the bottom of it for the most part, right?
Yeah.
But I would say it's a tough one. But when those parents said that to me on that post, I can really see how that can be an issue.
Yeah.
When you go out to a restaurant, you think about it, right? To go out to a restaurant and you see a parent and you see a child, right?
iPad.
What do you see? What do you see, right? You see an
Yeah.
iPad, you see a phone. That child is
Mhm.
not even interacting with anybody else at the table. I don't want that for my children. My
Yeah.
my 11-year-old daughter still doesn't have a phone,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But because I don't want you to be that kid, that
Yeah.
child at the table, and I'm talking, and your face is in the phone. So I would hold off on it. Of course, once they're about, you know, 4 or 5. I mean, you're going to talk about using it in moderation.
Yeah.
You want to talk about using it in moderation. I see a lot of parents at this moment. I mean, they put on Beano Fino or Gracie's Corner in that
Mhm.
living room, right, to keep their children occupied.
Yeah.
The more and more you do that, the more and more they're going to want your phone. They're going to want something
Yeah.
of their own so that they can, continue to get that fix. So we have to be mindful of that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm when you see me at a restaurant,
Hmm.
I'm Erica Badu, the bag lady, because we have what's called a restaurant bag. So when we're going out
Hmm.
to eat, I pack a little tote bag and I pack in crayons and we bring activity books. We
Hmm.
have these
Hmm.
little, I can't remember what the game is called, but it's got these little pieces and they'll show you a grid and you put the
Hmm.
pieces on the grid and then you have to figure out how to add in the missing pieces.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's things to make them think, and we do it together, and that's what we do at
Right.
restaurants. So my little hack I'll add in
So
there.
please, please, please put that up on your social media so we can get that. I mean, as with my 14-month-old son, right? We've already started developing something that when we go to restaurants, first of all, he has to have a whole bunch of snacks. Number one, because
Yeah.
he's just gonna eat, all of our food anyway. But also things for him to do so that we don't have to bring out that phone or that
Mhm.
iPad. It's very important. That's a great idea. The
Yeah.
restaurant bag.
And we do it too because, they give kids little coloring pages, but it's
Hmm.
boring.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
our kids want to go beyond. And so I literally bring activity books with things like mazes and
Hmm.
crosswords and,
Hmm.
find its and things like that. And I usually also bring a coloring book and I sit there too. And we
There it
color,
is.
wait for our food.
It's a
But the
beautiful thing.
other aspect that I wanted to bring up, and there's a sister I started following recently on Instagram. Her name is Cyber Farida.
Cyber. Okay.
And her platform is all about internet crimes against children. And her
Mm.
platform is geared towards parents and teaching you about internet safety. And
Hmm.
and I'm gonna tell you, like I told my blood brother, because you also are a father of a daughter,
Hmm.
that age range, a must watch. And for all you parents out there, a must watch, I believe, is a documentary. It's on HBO Max called Black and Missing.
Black and missing. Hmm.
Black and Missing. I mean, take the time and watch that. Once I watched it, I immediately called my brother, who is the father of 3 girls, and told him that, it was definitely imperative to see this, because when you were talking about, parents being in the room and the kids being alone more than not with the screens. And not only does it build dependence, but it leaves space for our children to become victims. What Black and Missing, what really stood out to me was how much these predators were using the internet to get to our children. And it starts with, alone in the other room. Then it goes to, well, I'm just going to have headphones and be
All the
on.
time.
And then it's, some of the moms were sharing how, the child started wanting to be in another room, to be on the computer and things like that. And so I wanted to ask how you talk to your daughter, especially about being safe with technology, because it's something that I think we don't think enough about. So I
Right.
wanted to get some insight from you on that, because we have to step up as parents in a new way. This isn't something that our parents could have prepared us for with parenting, because that was
Right.
part of it.
Wasn't a part of it. Absolutely.
People
Absolutely.
weren't as able to get into your household and reach out to your child through technology. We were using those AOL discs to put it in the computer and connect online.
Right. Right.
So how do you talk to your daughter about being safe, and what tips do you have for parents for doing the same thing?
So number one of the beautiful things about homeschooling with my daughter and other children around her age is that I can speak to those other children about these kind of things, and also I'm talking to her at the same time. Um, so that's been great for us. We've had a couple, one-on-one conversations about what's going on out in the world, right? And about, what do you think about a parent who would make sure that their child has an air tag in their bag at all times?
Right.
What do you think? So I would bring up conversations like that to get her perspective, and we'll talk about, the reasonings why she think it'll be important to do something like that, and the reasons why she think not that'll be, like a invasion of her privacy or something, right? And so as a father, I have to, explain to her exactly what is going on in this world at this moment, the same kind of things that I'm sure that documentary, talked about. And I'm very, very clear and honest about what I'm afraid of for her and for my family, and what I am willing to do if something like that happens, right? And what I'm willing to do to protect her from those kind of things, right? And as we see the technology becoming more and more prevalent, I mean, there's ways to even clone your voice. There's ways to clone, you can clone, the child's voice, and people only need a couple seconds for that, right? A couple seconds of your child's voice, and they can clone it. So I've already talked to my daughter and my wife, right, about, what's going to be our safe word? What's going to be our code? So if I get a phone call and it sounds like my daughter, and it's saying, Baba, I need $500. Whatever's going on. How do I, what can we say to each other to know whether or not this is an AI bot or you really? And it's crazy that you said that our parents didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff, but
Right.
we do, right? And so we have to be thinking about those things. All the parental guidelines you can put on those devices, do it, double
Yeah.
check it, take the thing away from your child if you don't have the password. If
Yeah.
you don't have the password and you can't get in it, take it away. Our children are very brilliant. They will find ways. They know ways
Yeah.
of making making an app
Yep.
look like a notes app, but it's actually another app, and they can get into some stuff with. So we know better as parents, and we have to be ever vigilant.
Yeah.
We have to be ever vigilant. I think we, as parents, we have so much going on, right? And we think we have so much going on. Whether it be a job who will replace you very quickly when you're not there, whether it be, whatever it might be, we need to make sure that we always make time to make sure our children are safe and do what we have to do for their well-being.
Yeah. And if you're not, you know, to people who may be thinking, you know, well, we're talking down, we're not. We're trying to make you aware, because if you weren't, now is a good time to start. And I love that you said take that device away if you don't know the password. It's to protect your child. And I would even add to that, there is no use in, for me and my 8-year-old, she's about to be 9, but there's no use of any app or website or anything like that I don't know about. If I don't know about it, I don't know how to use it. We're
Yeah.
not getting into that. We're not having that. You know, even things like social media that I've seen, you know, people that I know and I know they have good intentions. Oh, my child likes to do the filters on Snapchat. But that's a whole social media site and it's connected to, you know, other folks.
A
So
lot of stuff.
yeah, and I think that's and now, you know, so much of our homeschooling happens online. I know for
Yeah.
me, I have gone through it was important for me that we all have Apple devices because I wanted to set it up to where I had the family controls, and I sat down over several sessions of doing this and added every parental control that you can. I can log in from my phone to their iPads and see who they're contacting, when. I can add and delete contacts. They cannot. I can stop them from being able to use the screen at any point in time
Right.
remotely. And all of that is worth it. And I think there's one called Bark. Bark is it's a software that you have to actually install, but you can install it and it runs all these checks for you of what's going on. I don't even want to think about, you know, what parents and teenagers are dealing with right now, because it's wild enough with, you know, young children.
Absolutely. What now? How you spell bark?
Just BARK.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and you they have a little device that they send to you. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but yeah, you call them, and I found out about this through Cyber Farida. And so like that, I consider it a part of my homeschooling journey and part of my responsibilities as a parent to, you know, protect my child and to make
Absolutely.
sure that, you know, yeah, they're using technology, but I need to know exactly what's happening. So I'm tracing in all the ways. I want to
And
kind of, oh, go ahead.
but that is the most important part of homeschooling. I don't think the most important is not the academic. Our
Mm,
children are going to get the academic, right?
right,
I mean, to you know, they're going to get that. They're going to learn how to read well enough. They're going to learn how to write well enough. They're going to learn how to manipulate numbers well enough. But what about their character?
right.
Right? What about their mindset? What about their values, their principles? Because those are the things that are going to either, you know, prop them up and lift them up as they move through life, or will take them down faster than anything else if they don't have it. Take the
Yeah,
time. I mean, this you talking about teachable lessons. If you find anything going on with your child that you think is it's not cool, it's not culture, that's the lesson for the next month.
yep.
You talking about everything else is on the background, on the back, on the back
Exactly.
burner. We have to get this together, and of course, we have to model whatever we're preaching, right? And so the phone is always in our face.
Right.
If we are at the table with it, if we want to be alone and whatever, though our children do a very bad job of listening to what we say, but a good job of doing what we do. Right. And but I like your idea about, all having all of the devices connected so you can really, really control things. You can see what is going on. Do not let that lapse. Right.
Yeah,
The character building, the values that you're instilling are more important than whether or not they know what a noun or a pronoun is.
that's
I
it.
know we're not gonna talk about pronouns right now. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You gotta.
But and listen, and parents, I'm telling y'all, go watch Black and Missing. You will not regret it. Just to make yourself aware. I want to kind of flip the script and talk about technology in a different sense. So you mentioned that your prediction is college will become obsolete.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in around 2008, 2009, having a conversation with a friend of mine about this. And we were talking about college becoming obsolete because
Mm-hmm.
the internet, and in all its glory in 2008, which is nothing
Right, right,
now.
compare, right, yeah.
But we were talking about how information was becoming more and more readily available. So
Mm-hmm.
where you used to have to, if you wanted to see what was in an Econ 1302 textbook, you
Mm-hmm.
had to be in that class to be able
Right.
to purchase that textbook.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's wide open. You
So,
can see
yeah.
anything. I remember when Microsoft Bing came out.
Mm-hmm.
Bing. And they used to have this feature where you could see like a full screen image and they would cycle through and they would show somewhere in the world. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember this one that stood out to me, and this was a shot of some remote area. It was like a tree covered hillside somewhere in Asia,
Mm-hmm.
just breathtakingly beautiful. But I just remember looking at that and thinking, how am I seeing this
Mm-hmm.
here? Like, this is this place that's remote, so to speak, but
Right.
I'm sitting here in front of a screen looking at it. So, what I want to ask you about, as someone who has lived across the world and lived in various places, now that technology has become this great equalizer, why is it important for us to still travel and to still allow our young scholars to travel?
Mm-hmm. Because the personal connection that you get when you travel will never be matched by, the immersive experiences you will be able to have in a virtual reality type of world. You know what I'm saying? Or through a
Mhm.
computer. It will be nice, right? We in when we're educating our children, yes, we can take them to, the pyramids of Giza through, the Oculus Quest or something like that, and they
Yeah.
can walk all around and they can see everything. That's cool, but it's nothing like being there, right?
No.
It's, and people will do all kind of stuff with this technology. And one of the reasons why the technology will explode very, very quickly is because of the corn industry,
Mm.
right? And so it's going to explode, and it's already exploding because of that industry, but it will trickle to education, because we will be able to touch and feel things in remote areas of the world, and we
Yeah.
might be able to even smell it even. You know what
See.
I'm saying?
Wow.
So we're going to have immersive experiences, and
Mhm.
many people who don't want to go out into the world will be okay with that. I don't know if you ever saw a movie called Surrogates.
I haven't
Bruce
seen it.
Bruce Bruce Willis movie called Surrogates. It's a number of years old, but it's set in the future, and people go outside. People are in their homes. They have their devices on their face. They're laying down or whatever, and they have an avatar go out, a robot go out in
Oh,
the world and experience the world for them. They can feel everything, whatever, whatever. They can see everything, but you send your avatar out into the actual world. So you're a fat guy eating chips all
yeah.
day in the house, while your fit
Wow.
25-year-old, you know, avatar is doing whatever, whatever, right? Some people will love that existence. As African people, I don't know if we ever will, and I don't know if we should get totally, totally comfortable with
Yeah.
just the connection between the glass that we have right now, or in an immersive kind of environment. Go there,
Yeah.
be there, meet the people, right? Eat the food, smell the smells, just see the sights,
Mhm.
right? Speak the language with people that are right before you. And I think that human connection will never go away. It may become more and more rare. But
Yeah.
as a homeschooler, right, as a person who is educating your own child, again, what is their values? Will they
Yeah.
value the human connection more than the computer? Now, I am a person who has an online school, Kamali Academy Virtual, right?
Mhm.
But nothing blew my mind more than when we called, a family meeting, at the
Mhm.
end of the school year for Malcolm X Day Festival in Atlanta, and people came from all over the world
Yeah. I saw those
to
pictures.
be there with us. We was like, wow, I did not think it was going to be that many folks. So even though we have the connection through the glass and online, people still crave that personal connection, linking up together. And I think we should make sure that our children, whether we're homeschooling them, virtually or not, make sure they have that connection with good people wherever we are.
Yeah.
We'll still do that. We'll still do that for sure.
Yeah. I was just talking to my daughters because we are looking at a couple of different options to visit Africa for the first time this year. And we were talking about the reasons why. And my 8-year-old was actually saying, she was like, Mommy, we're African people. So we have to go to Africa at some point in our life. Like it's a part of being African. And she was like, why would you be African and never go to Africa? And she's super pumped about it, really excited. But I get that and I feel that. And that's, I do feel like that's an essential experience. And
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to that. And so, I will definitely be in touch for some info and things. I have a couple of different angles going for academics for them, and then also being on a trip with some other birth workers to Ghana for me. So
make it happen.
Yeah, and travel just period. I will get on the road in a minute. We have driven across country numerous times. I love a trip. And I believe in bringing school with us and being able to carry on and experience wherever we are and keep going with it. That being said, I know some homeschoolers who are afraid to take a break. And I want you to speak to them because I think that comes from the same kind of really the comparison mindset of saying that, but you got at the end of this year, you got to be at the grade standard. So what do you say to those folks? Because I think that, in my opinion, that's a recipe for burnout. Feeling like, we're homeschooled, we have something to prove to these folks who are in the public school system, so we can't ever stop. We are homeschooled 365.
Yep.
How do you find balance and give the kids a break?
No doubt. So, well, first, let me say what your 8-year-old daughter said is, how can you be African and never go to Africa, right? I read a book recently, and it's my favorite book that I've read all last year. It's called Zenzali. It's about a mother. It's a mother who's writing letters to her daughter. Her daughter has just gotten accepted to Harvard, right? And so she's writing her letters about her childhood and her life in general, and why she didn't let her go with her friend that time when her friend was asking her to go over here because of such and such, right? So she just writes her great letters. Great book. I would recommend it to any parent, male or female, African parent, male or female. But one of the things she said is that when she had a friend of hers that went overseas, right? And they would talk to her about the African Americans who were there, who were groping for some kind of connection with Africa. And she was just saying, like, it has to be very, very hard and disheartening in many ways to be from a place and never have set foot on that soil, right? To really, really connect with those roots, to always be, somewhere else, in the diaspora, but never coming back home. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out from that book. Very, very, very,
Knowing
very
that
good
there's a
book.
home, but you've never been home, it's that orphaned feeling. There is somewhere where I plug in and I connect and I belong, and that longing for that.
Absolutely.
I get it.
Absolutely.
No, I
It's
get it.
it's a beautiful thing. When I first went to Ghana, I felt like, yeah, this is it. This is home. And we'll be going back soon. Don't worry. This Houston, Texas thing is just a pit stop. But in terms of, the idea of, not wanting to take a break as a homeschooling parent, as a guide for your young warriors, you have to do your own self-care, right? If you don't rest, if you don't do what you need to do, if you don't take time to care for yourself, then you're not going to be at your best for them.
Yeah.
Right. Also mentally, the world is our classroom. Understand that. Whatever you do, you say you bring school with you. Wherever you go is a lesson. right?
Mhm.
Their books are not the lessons. Their
Yep.
workbooks are not the
Our
lesson.
life
Their
is the lesson.
curriculum, our life is the lesson, right? And if you look at every time you look at traditional African education, it's taking place within the bush. It's taking place under the tree. It's taking place in the blacksmith shop. They're out there doing something. They're not just at the house. Get
Mhm.
out into the world and do. And matter of fact, if you want to connect it to those people's stuff, if your child is actually able to do things, that's going to look a lot better on the transcript than if they just got an A, B, or C or something in that particular
Mhm.
class, right? So get out there, grow with your young warriors, learn what are you interested in, right? Get them interested in that and go and learn more about it. Take
Yeah.
those field trips, take those trips as you say, travel the
Yeah.
world. Our children will remember those things a lot better than doing geometry, you
Yeah.
know, on online. They're just going to remember it a lot better and they'll learn a lot more for sure.
So
For sure.
how do you recommend enhancing the journey? I went for years without even considering things that would, traditionally be called like extracurricular
Mm-hmm.
activities. And I recently sat in on a session where some Black homeschooling parents were talking about creative ways to finance this and asking
Mm-hmm.
around about scholarships available, for different types of lessons that your child wants to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a believer in getting these type of extracurricular activities for kids, and is that something that's essential to a homeschooling education? Sports and things of that sort.
Whatever my child is interested in is essential to her homeschooling or his homeschooling education.
Mm-hmm.
Because if my child is interested in it, and I'm saying whether we're talking about something that's positive, that's whatever. We ain't talking
Yeah,
about some crazy stuff. But if they're interested in it and I'm not, and I'm like, no, no, what you need to be in these books. I mean, how much are they going to learn
yeah.
if they feel like think, okay, here it is. A lot of times, if we think about homeschooling our children, um, like we think about our relationship with our spouses or our partners, I think we
Mm-hmm.
would change it a little bit. I think we would change a little bit
Hmm.
because, if my spouse is into a particular thing, right, and I'm never interested in that thing, how are they going to feel towards me?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if I really, really love this thing and I'm always talking about it, and my spouse shuts me down whenever I talk about it. When my spouse asks me, hey babe, can you pick me up some some food when you're on the way? How am I going to feel about that?
Yeah.
Am I going to be like, yeah, I got you? Or am I, oh, you know what? I've already passed it up. Even
Yeah.
if I haven't passed it up already.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking about connection, connection, connection. The relationship comes first. So if my child is interested in learning an instrument, I don't know nothing about it, but I'm going to do all that I
Yeah.
can to help them. Right. You are a coach of your child, right? You are the coach. You don't know how to, the coach doesn't know how to dribble the ball as good as the player, but he makes sure the player is in the right kind of environment to get that training. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what we should be doing for our children, whether that be extracurricular activities outside of the home, whatever they're interested in. There's communities out there that they can plug into. It is our responsibility to do that research, to find those communities, find those quote unquote mentors or adults who can help them grow in those particular areas. I think it's vital. It's vital. I mean, you think about your homes, you think about your high school career. What do you remember most about your high school career? First thing came to your
Cheerleading.
mind.
Cheerleading.
See,
First thing I remember.
that's
Yeah.
that's the first
That's
thing
what I
you
was
remember.
the most interested in.
That's what you were most, and you learned a lot about yourself in cheerleading. You learned a lot about people in
Mhm.
cheerleading, right? And so you definitely want to make sure, especially as a homeschool child, in many places you can also there's something called a Tebow law. Tim Tebow was an NFL football player who was homeschooled in high school throughout schooling, right? And so he was able to play football at a local private school, even though he was homeschooled. And
Mhm.
many states have the Tim Tebow law. So look at your state and see if they have it, and your child will be able to participate in extracurricular activities after school at a school, if that's what you would, they would have to be good enough to make the team, right?
Right. But they have that
But
option.
they have that option as well. So that can take a little bit of the cost away from those things as well.
Yeah, and there are a lot of scholarships and things. Once I, attended that meeting, I started looking around. There's so
Mm-hmm.
many. And I remember one mom was saying in the session that it was some type of lessons her child wanted, and she didn't see anything that they had out about scholarships, but she just
Mm-hmm.
asked. She
Just
just said,
ask.
"Hey, I'm homeschooling and I want my kids to be involved in this. Do you offer any type of?" And they were like, "Well, we can."
You can.
There we go.
Simple. Right, right.
We
Closed
can.
mouth, right? Don't get fed.
Exactly, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the time we have left, I have a few things I want to try to get in, and I really
Mm-hmm.
want to hear you on this. February is coming up,
Mm-hmm.
when they choose to acknowledge our history and,
Right.
all that comes along with that. And I do want to talk about history with you just a bit, and with this week coming up, MLK Day
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
happening. I want to talk to you about a few things. So, why is we're just gonna dive right in? Why is Sankofa such an eternal concept for
Mm-hmm.
us?
Sankofa is, the West African term coming from Ghana, meaning to go back and fetch it, right? And it's usually a bird flying forward, but looking back with an egg in its mouth, right? We are our past in many ways, and we must take that past that we have and bring it into the future. We so often we try to forget. So often we try to neglect what has gone on before, particularly in our story. From here in the United States of America and to Africa. But when we forget, when we have that cultural amnesia, then we put ourselves in a position that we're in right now in many ways.
Yeah,
That is, disconnected, discombobulated,
yeah,
disconnected from ourselves and our communities. But if we look back and learn our story, if we get serious about that, one of the things is that we learn that our ancestors have solved many of the problems we already have.
that's true.
They've already solved those things if we learned about what they did. But since we don't know about what they did, we still languish in a place of ineptitude in many ways, right? Insufficiency. So when we learn those things, we can bring that knowledge forward. And of course, when we learn where you're from, who you were, for our children and ourselves, we have a better understanding of who we can be in the future, right? And I think that idea is eternal, right? When you learn about who you were and who we were, that gives you what? Confidence.
Yeah.
If and also when you learn about who our people are and who we were, you begin to love us.
Hmm.
And when you love us, you begin to work for us. And when you work for us, we're going to have a better future for us. But
Yeah.
if you have a misunderstanding of who we were, because you have gotten your information from our enemy, then you have no confidence in us. You have no love for us. So you ain't going to do nothing for us going forward. Right.
Yeah.
And so if we practice Sankofa, it will benefit us immensely, immensely. And I think that's one of the things, it's one of the reasons why you're not going to get your story told correctly in the public school system, even if it's an all Black school. Why? Because if the curriculum has been, brought down to that particular Black school by the state, you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to get what
So the
you need to
curriculum.
get.
Yep.
Right. And
Yep.
if you have to sneak and smuggle your history and your culture within the school, then you're smuggling it. That means it's illegal. You're gonna feel like you illegal. You're not illegal. You are African. You're a king. You're a queen. You have been ordained, from birth and before, right? To be great. And your job as a student, as a parent, as a guide, is to make sure African people get back to their greatness. But if you don't know our greatness, then how can you ever think we can be great in the future?
So, Dr. King, why should we still care?
Mm-hmm.
What is his greatest legacy? How is it relevant today?
Dr. King's greatest legacy to me is that he was a brother that had the courage of his convictions. The
Mm,
courage of his convictions. Whether or not you agree with those convictions is null and void for me, right? But this brother said, this is what we're going to be about, right? And this is what I'm going to push for my people, right?
mm,
And whatever your convictions are, if you are African liberationist, or you're revolutionary but gangster, cool, live it every day, as Dr. King did. I think that's one of his greatest legacies for me. Why is he important today? He is important. Dr. King is very important. But the reality is we have some other brothers and sisters who are just as, if not more important.
mm,
If we're talking about Sankofa, that we need to be studying and celebrating. There should be a lot more people in our calendar that we're celebrating.
mm,
Often we take our cue from these other folks because they give them a holiday. I think
mm,
Malcolm should have his as well, right? And so that
mhm.
Kamali Academy, May 19th, it's Malcolm Day,
Yep,
right?
yep,
So we deal with that. Amos Wilson's Ascendance Day was just a little, just a couple of days ago as well. We at our school, we're going to deal with that.
yeah.
So he's important, no doubt about it. A great figure, right? But the courage of his convictions, hopefully we can wake up and live our convictions as well as he lived his.
Yeah, and I think a lot of his legacy, his is what has been fed to most of us who went through public school,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so I definitely believe in going beyond and identifying great African people, period, all throughout the diaspora.
Hmm.
Because if not, I think they'll tell us that, well, you can only match up to, this whitewashed version of what we're telling you this person was if you want to be
Right.
great. But our greatness comes in so many ways. And I know I heard a conversation once with a group of older scholars, and they were talking about Dr. King's legacy, and they were
Hmm.
talking about some of the, I guess you'd say, more negative aspects of it that
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
been brought up. And it made me think like about reconciling history,
Hmm.
youth, because I don't believe in lying to my children about things. And if it happens that someone, who is melanated, and I'm not just talking about him, but if somebody is
Right.
melanated and they have been on the wrong side of history, I'm gonna let you know that they are. But
Hmm.
what would you say to those types of points, if there are some lower points in our history and things that
Hmm.
we look at, and even now and today, looking at folks who, well, they tell us that this person is great, he's
Hmm.
Clarence Thomas, he's, like how,
Dun,
yeah, and I can think of some others. He's not alone,
right.
but when we talk about that, because I like to look at it as, yes, this person has gotten ahead and they've gotten some type of standing for themselves, but at what cost?
At what cost?
At what
Absolutely.
cost?
Absolutely. No, so now when we talking about King, right, it's different from talking about Clarence Thomas. It's different from
Right.
talking about, you know, Barack Obama, right? So there's different. So when we're talking about the King piece, is what we have to understand, that everybody is human. And we're not putting him on the pedestal as if, he is a person that was infallible, right?
Mhm.
These are some of the good things about him that we will look at and maybe we will try to emulate. But here's some of those things that some mistakes that he made. And we all make mistakes. And we can use those mistakes as lessons for our young warriors going forward. Right. And
Mhm.
so we can look at the mistakes that the great ones in our past have made. Whenever we read Malcolm and Malcolm is fornicating with white women, I'm always telling the students, see, he was down bad for that, but
Yeah,
yeah, but
yeah,
he also, he was selling drugs to our people, but he also, right.
yeah,
And so we want to make sure that we understand that people are human,
yeah.
and
And we
and and
can't
let our
hide
young warriors
from
know. We can't hide it from them. Nope, we can't
it.
hide it from them. And I think that helps us as well. That helps
Yeah.
the young warrior too, that you are not your lowest moments, right?
Mhm.
You are not your lowest moment. And you can what? You can bounce back. So I think that's important. I think that's important as well. But when we're looking at other figures and other figures that this society has propped up for us to look at and
Mhm.
celebrate, then yes, we want to make sure that we really allow our young warriors to know why they have been propped up. right? Whenever we talk about Barack Obama, I'm saying, what kind of black man is ever going to be president in this country? What kind of black person do you need to be? Let's be honest. Like Barack Obama seems like a really cool dude. I would love to play basketball with him. You know what I'm saying? And watch a game. But as a president, we have to understand that you got to be a certain kind of black man. That kind of black man is probably not going to be the best for black people to be president of the United States of America. Let's be honest.
Wow. So I want to end by taking a page from your book, literally.
Okay.
I want to end this Friday highlight style.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So tell me what you're reading.
Okay. What am I reading? I'm reading right now. I'm actually reading a book by some lady. I don't know what her name. I think the last name is Becky, probably, but it's called Good. It's called Good Inside. It's called Good Inside.
Oh, I know the parenting book. Her
Yeah,
name
yeah,
is
yeah.
Becky.
Right.
That's all I can remember now. But
Yeah, yeah.
Dr. Becky something. You're right.
Yep. So Good
Good
Inside, Good
book.
Inside about the connections, about the attachments that
Mhm.
children have to you, and how the basic understanding is that you as a parent, you're good inside. Even in your parenting mistakes, you're still good inside. And your child, same way, right? They're good inside. And we got to see that good in them, even when they might not be acting the way that we want them to act. They're still good inside, and take their behavior as a window into how they're feeling and not just that act,
I love
right?
it.
Look at the behavior as a window.
I'm into that book actually right now. I just got past the chapter on two things can be true.
Two things. Well, see, we on the same page. See, look
Good
at
one.
this.
Good
We
one.
look,
And
we on the same page of the same book. What's up?
there we
That's
go.
crazy.
I
Go
have to
ahead.
pull up the highlights here so I can make sure I'm not missing anything. So tell me, okay, we did what you're reading. What are you listening to?
When I listen to a lot of I'm a piano at this moment. I'm studying Zulu, and much of it is in Zulu or Xhosa. So I listen to that stuff and try to. It's just good, feel good music in many ways.
Mhm.
It's not. I don't listen to as much of the dance. I'm a piano.
I was
It's
just gonna say
more.
make you want to dance. So I
Yeah.
gotta check
It's
out the
more.
kind you're listening to.
Yeah, it's more like it's a lot of love songs, a lot of uplifting kind of stuff as well, and I'm learning the language through the songs. It's just good stuff, and I can listen to it with my son, in the car,
Yeah.
you know, don't know the language, so they're saying something crazy. We good anyway, it just feels good. So that's what I'm listening to at the moment.
Question of the week. You have one for us?
A question for the week. A question for the week. What do you love most about yourself?
Hmm.
What do you love most about yourself? I think so often we get so caught up in the negatives of our lives and the mistakes that we have made, in the distant past and recent past. And we get worried about what's going to happen in the future. But what do you love most about yourself? Love on yourself a little bit.
That's a
That's
good
my
one,
question.
especially around this time of year when everybody is resolution focused. I saw
Hmm.
something
Hmm.
online that said before you start, listing out all the ways that you're not making the mark, let's
Hmm.
be thankful and grateful that we made it through, and let's
Hmm.
focus on what our strengths are that got us through. So I like that one. Um,
Absolutely. Oh, wait, well, let me give you another one.
okay.
Not what is wrong with you, what is strong with you?
What is strong with you? I'm gonna ask that
Yes,
to my
yes,
daughter. She just
yes,
gave me
yes.
something to add to our morning meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one. I think that's did I get that from an Oprah Winfrey book or something?
I don't know, but that should be on a shirt. That's a good one. What
Yeah,
is strong with you? I
yeah.
like that.
What's wrong with you? Yes. Hmm.
What is a lesson you're learning?
A lesson I'm learning. A lesson I'm learning. I think acceptance, acceptance of who people are, where they are. Um, I'm learning, you continue to learn certain lessons, but I'm learning that people will be who they are and they will change when they are ready to change, not when, that
When you're
change comes
ready.
from the outside, right?
Yes.
My daughter is coming back tomorrow, actually, and she is who she is, right? And I have to accept that and continue to develop that relationship, that connection with her, and just build with her from there. That's what I'm
Love it.
wanting. Mhm.
What are you saying to homeschoolers?
What am I saying to homeschoolers? Forget homeschooling, get out there on the road and go and learn. Go and do something. Go and do something. Go and do something. That's it. Now have your children go and do something instead of learning about somebody else doing it. Let them go and do it. And that's the kind of education I think that is more valuable than anything else.
We got to give our children experiences. They've got
Hmm.
to have that. That's what I pledged to start with my daughter this year. February is her birthday month.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we are planning our first birthday trip for her.
Nice, nice.
And we've been talking a lot about what is the point of getting things anyway,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
getting things in life, not just for birthdays, Christmas, Kwanzaa, not just that.
Yeah,
In general, like this need we have to every time we leave the house, I
to
gotta
bring
go to
something back.
Target. I
Yeah.
gotta like really, do we really need this? And what does it mean to need something versus to just want it? And what do I need to attend to in myself if I'm constantly wanting something more? Because
Mm.
what is the point of it all? So we
What do I need
really,
to attend to in myself if I'm constantly wanting more? What is the root of it all?
yeah, because
Those
what
see,
drives that need to constantly need? I want more, I
more.
want more, I want more.
So again, those are the kind of conversations that are going to ring in her ears long after you have the conversation.
Mhm.
When your daughter is 18, when she's 21, when she's 22, she can remember back to a time, when she had a conversation with her mom about this. And what
Mhm.
was the outcome of that conversation? And what was the wisdom her mom blessed her with, at that time? Because she's going to have a time when she might be feeling like she just needs somebody,
Mhm.
that hasn't been good for her, and what is the root cause of that need? It's very important, man. The conversation that we have with our children, I mean, have those deep conversations with them and
Yeah.
pass on the wisdom that somebody has given to you very explicitly to your children, because they might not ever get it if you don't give it to them.
Yep.
We can't hope they get it.
Yeah, we
You
gotta
can't,
be
hope.
intentional.
You gotta be
We gotta
intentionality.
also honor their curiosity because I think it's easy. We're so busy, and
Hmm.
it's easy when they are asking us. My daughter will come and ask me, "Mom, tell me about your childhood." Sometimes I'm not in a mode, like, what exactly do you want me to tell you? I don't know.
Right.
And sometimes she just really wants to just anything, tell me anything at all.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
what did you do after school? What kind of things did you like? Like she just wants to know. And I used to tell her, okay, I'll tell you later. I'll think of some
Hmm.
tell you later. And I try to catch myself now and always tell her something because I see the value in that. And she
No,
is asking me for it. And I know she don't see all of the value in it yet, but she will one day.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
so I'm trying to honor those moments more.
Please do, because those are important. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I like that book, Zenzali, the letters to her daughter,
Mhm.
because we need. I think we all need to write some letters to our children, like in the future, when we are no longer here, right? What will be the legacy? What would our children remember? What we want them to know
Mhm.
about us and why we did certain things, because as a child, they might not understand, right? But if we can write them, those letters explaining ourselves, explaining
Yeah.
who we are in our childhood, how we came up, how we met your father, what I'm saying, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever, your mother, those kind of things are going to be important to our children. I'm definitely going to be writing my own letters to my children to let them
Yeah.
know why Baba thinks the way he thinks and what
Mhm.
he was trying to do, for them. So,
That's
yeah.
it's also healing. You're healing generations by doing that. And I'll tell you what,
Hmm.
as a birth worker, I come across a lot of folks who don't know their own birth stories.
Hmm. Hmm.
Ever they are pregnant now themselves. They've never had a conversation with the one who bore them
Hmm.
about what that experience was like. And a lot of it is it's because of the generation that our parents were in. There were a
Hmm.
lot of things that you just didn't talk about. So there are people who are in their 30s and and pregnant, and only now learning that my mother went through 3 losses before she had me, I didn't know that. And then it makes you look back at this person in a different way.
Right,
And you see
right,
them in the
right.
light of the load that they were shouldering
Mm.
as, that happens. And so I think when we are open and we are writing these types of letters, I think it's important that we allow ourselves to be free and open and let those emotions flow and talk
Mm.
about it. Because in previous generations, a lot was just held in. There was also stories. I'll share my own story of, always knowing growing up that there was a time period when my grandmother, she was there, but she wasn't really there. And through part of my mom's childhood, and it was just, something that they just knew. She was going through a time, and that's how it was always talked about, very vague. And it wasn't until years later and diving into my profession and my studies that I began to notice a lot of things. And then I uncovered a lot of information. My grandmother had 6 live births, but had gone through losses of either a pregnancy or of an actual full-term pregnancy between almost every one of those births. And also finding out that, my grandmother and grandfather got married in 1936, and they kept having children all the way through 1960. So
Wow.
showed me now that I know, yeah, you need some time postpartum to process what you're going through and to fully adjust. And and postpartum support wasn't really a thing. You just kind of go through whatever you go through and you carry on. So when I look at it through the lens of what I know now, I look back at someone who was probably going through postpartum depression. She was a Black woman having children in the South. So she went through an experience where she had a baby born and being told by the hospital that, oh, your baby didn't make it, when she laid eyes on this child and saw the child, fully awake and alive, and then they take the child away. And then so I look back now and I'm like, wow, but none of that was spoken of and at the time. And it was just looked at as, she just really was strong. But I think of the insight that I could have gained from understanding, her struggle from her perspective, and even my own mom, and understanding more of her struggle. So I say that to say, I fully co-sign with what you've suggested to parents. Write those letters, have those conversations, talk about things. We talk about emotions. We talk about the fact that, hey, mommy has emotions too. Sometimes he needs time to go and get myself together and, come back in the room once I've been able to calm down because I'm upset, and that's a fact. I'm a person and I get upset too.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. That piece that you just shared is powerful. And it's a great reason to make sure that we set down
Yeah.
that information for our children and the generations to come.
Yeah.
For
Because
sure.
so many of
Because
our
yeah.
ancestors couldn't. So many of our ancestors for generations, from the times of the Middle Passage through our childhood, I'm 41 years old. So through that time, so many generations of parents who struggled and went through things. Really, it's life,
Right.
but didn't weren't able to speak on it, either didn't have the language to, or there was no space created for them to do that. And so now we're doing all this healing work, and we're finding ourselves and all of
Right.
these truths. But we have to really understand the impact of that on our youth, and even letting them see us. Do you what is your take on children seeing their parents cry?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you want to teach your children that you are human, right?
Yeah.
You want to let your children know that you can say, I'm sorry, I was wrong to them.
And I'm sorry is huge.
To them, right? So, that was my bad. That wasn't right of me because such and such and such. They need to know that you are the kind of person who can um take responsibility, right?
Yeah.
You're the kind of person who knows yourself, you know what you need. If you need a little bit of moment, you can go take your moment and you can come back. They need to know that they'll be able to do that also. Because you're not just talking to them right now. You're talking to them years and years from now.
Ooh, that's the point. That's it
Yeah.
right there.
You're talking, you're letting because they're going to be
Yeah.
an adult and
Yeah.
they're going to be dealing with something and you're teaching them how to be able to do that, right? You're going to
Mhm.
teach them how we teach our children so much. So much is caught way more than is taught for sure. They
Mhm.
catch a lot. They catch a lot. So be
100%.
intentional about what they catch. I don't know if have my daughter ever seen me cry before? Probably at a movie or something. I'd be crying in the movies.
Mhm.
But you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's important. It's important to let
Yeah.
them know. Although I don't know everything. As a homeschooling parent, you don't have to know everything, right?
Yeah.
Well, I need some help with the math because it's okay.
Yeah.
Learn with them, relearn with them. It's okay. You'll be all right. You ain't got to be the super woman or superman.
Speaking on that, because I don't want to leave without letting folks know how, a little bit more about Kamali Academy and
Mhm.
how they can get in contact. So I want to start there. Can you talk about the services that you have geared toward parents and how
Get
you work
towards
with
parents.
parents and support them?
So we have homeschooling coaching for parents, which you can find at kamaliacademy.com. You can find our homeschooling coaching program. We have a program where we can do um, how do you say customized curriculum for you and your family if you need that. We have a course. We have a course called the Warrior Startup, and it's kind of geared towards parents who are homeschooling so that they can build up a business while they do that, as well as the Warrior Teacher, where we try to teach parents how to become a warrior teacher for their children. And we give you, all kind of tips and trips. Many of the tips and and hacks we've been talking about here today, but a lot more stuff as well to help you grow as a guide for your children, for sure.
Yeah, that's so needed. So many people are scared. They're like, what am I going
Mhm.
to do when I got to teach them physics?
Yeah,
What am I going to do? And it can be intimidating to
right.
know.
But it's a mindset. It is a mindset. It's a mindset. It's a mind. You
Mhm.
are enough. You are enough. Don't go by with these people. You don't need a degree. You didn't need a degree to have the child. You don't need a degree to teach your child, So yeah, we have
I
a number of
found that
resources.
part fascinating. I love
Hmm.
learning along with them.
Hmm.
We're going into the first full year of my children studying Kiswahili.
Hmm.
And on day one, I was like, no, we are studying
Right.
Kiswahili. And I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm just on fire. I'm doing everything with them. And
Okay, say something. Okay, say something in Kiswahili then.
habari za asubuhi. I know it's now afternoon.
Yes, no, it's all good. It's all good. Good morning. Good morning. It's cool. Good morning. But how do I even reply? How do you reply to Habari za Asabuhi? I don't even know. I've been learning Zulu.
Back. I think you would just say it back
You
to
should say
me.
it back to her. I got you. I got you. I got you. Well, Asante
Habari.
Sana.
Habari.
Habari. Okay,
Karibu.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Karibu
Um,
Sana. There we go.
Karibu sana. Nzuri. That means good. No, I wanted to also know what you have offered for scholars because a lot of folks think that homeschooling is as much of a monolith as they think being Black is.
Hmm. Hmm.
And another, and I like to speak a lot to parents who are afraid because a lot of people are when it comes to
Yeah.
homeschooling. So, I want folks to understand what Kamali Academy is and how it works because you feel like if I'm homeschooling, then I'm just kind of out here, I'm gonna be floating in the air. What do I
Yeah.
do? So tell them what Kamali Academy is.
So Kamali Academy is an African-centered homeschool collective. We started in 2009 in New Orleans, Louisiana. We had a physical school for 6 years, but then I moved to Ghana and I took things online and we provided workbooks and whatnot for folks. But now we're back as a full school, but it is virtual, right? And we go from preschool all the way on up to our oldest student this year is in the 12th grade. So we have Kamali Academy Virtual, which you can find at kamaliacademy.com. It's a community of families who are coming together to educate their young warriors. We have guides from South Africa. We have guides from the Virgin Islands. We have guides from the Barbados. We have guides from, of course, here in the United States, who are helping our young warriors grow as well. We have Kamali Academy store.com, which is our store, which has a number of resources and courses, workbooks, and unit studies and escape rooms and all those kind of things for our young warriors as well. We're here to help parents. We're here to help parents provide their children with an education for liberation. So often we buy resources, but those resources are still Eurocentric. Those resources still have European names and white
All the
children and all that kind of
workbooks and
stuff,
all
right?
that. Mhm.
So our resources are a lot different from that, right? Your children are going to learn African values and our story within our resources, and they're going to read names that are like theirs, right? Or names they've never heard of, but they're going to be African names, and it's
That's
going
it.
to, it's just they're going to be able to see themselves in our curriculum, and that's what we strive to be for our families.
Yeah, and it's no joke. My children's first worksheets were the Kamali Academy sight word worksheets,
No
and
doubt, no doubt.
absolutely, even down to the design around the edges of the page. So, and all of that matters, and it's
It
so
matters.
important. So I want to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
On the Kamali Academy store, you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what was, I guess, the original product, which was the curriculum, the
Mm-hmm.
K-12
Yep.
curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
If someone is wanting to purchase that, how are you recommending to them to use that? If they're wanting to go more at a, I guess you would say maybe self-paced
Self-paced, right?
route.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Which
if you
and
purchase, go
I'll
ahead.
just
Go ahead.
real quick to say also, which was also the first curriculum that I ever purchased. Uh,
Nice, nice.
so yeah, definitely,
Mm.
and still have it to this day. Go ahead.
So we're gonna bulk that thing up too. People continue to buy it, right? And how to use it. It's a macro level look at what we believe our African children should know at the end of the year, right? Now, again, your child better than we do, right? But check it out. Look at what's going on in our story. Look at what we think should be happening in mathematics and language arts and Kiswahili or language and different things there are even physical education. Look at some of those things and let that guide you if you need some help and guidance when it comes to curriculum for your child, right? It's just gonna be a macro level look at what you should be doing for your child, and it's worked. It's worked for a lot of people. People continue to use it and continue to come back to it, and so we're proud of that. That is that a cornerstone type of
I would
resource that we
I
have
would
at
so.
Kamali Academy. So it's been great for others, and I'm sure it'll probably be great for you as well.
Yeah, one of my favorite thing about it was, especially when I was first getting started, was the suggestions of how much time to spend with
Hmm.
different subjects. That's
Right.
very helpful. It's something that, if you're in this thing, you're probably like, what? But no, that's a foundational
Mhm.
support that you need when you're starting out and trying to figure out how to make this happen.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, so the people who think that they can't take a break, listen, you get so much more done in homeschooling than they would ever get done in the public school system. Take a break, keep it moving, take a week off. You know what I'm saying? And just go and learn out in the world. And even when you come back to your homeschooling environment, make sure that learning that the actual doing of this thing it's more prevalent than the worksheets. Then it's more prevalent than just doing the busy work of homeschooling. And that's not what homeschooling is all about.
What about for parents who have kids in the public school system or private, any of
Hmm.
those? I don't want to leave them out either because
Right.
they're not getting the pass. But for folks who are not homeschooling, but you're intriguing them here
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
they want to supplement what their children are learning, what do you have for them?
So I think the curriculum we just talked about can definitely help as well, but depends on what level your child is at, right? And so our daily, word problems book is great for middle school and even sometimes high school students when it comes to mathematics. We have grammar books. We have grammar books for the younger ages as well as for the middle school and high school ages. We have also 50 Africans You Must Know, Volume 1 and
I was gonna
Volume
say,
2, which
yep,
can be, a great introduction to our story for our young warriors. That, a lot of the people who are outside of the MLKs and stuff like that,
right.
they can learn about and get some reading comprehension practice in at the same time, with those things too. We have a lot of resources that you guys can use to supplement the education of your young warriors and maybe even correct some of the mistakes or the fallacies that have been taught in the public school system too.
No, and I love the African Proverbs
African
workbook.
proverbs.
Really love that one because I remember growing up and they would always feed us like Greek philosophy as being
Hmm.
like the health of thought
Hmm. Hmm.
humans. And it's really something that I think would be such an enhancement to the journey for both the parents and kids, because
Hmm.
a lot of us are not coming through, having been African centered homeschoolers our whole life. So we're learning too. And I
Hmm.
think something that's really important.
Absolutely, absolutely. Use those African proverbs. We have 366 African proverbs in that particular book, and under each proverb there's a couple lines, and there's different ways to use those lines for the younger students. We
Mhm.
have them use it as copy work, right? So they will write it. They will write the proverb down, rewrite it, and so what they're doing is they're getting used to the conventions of writing, right?
Mhm.
You're talking about capital letter at the beginning of a sentence, a period at the end of it, the spacing
The
of
space
the
between,
letters and all
yeah.
that. So they're getting all those, and you're also going to be able to talk to them about the philosophy and the ideas behind whatever that proverb is, right? Smooth seas don't make a skillful sailor. Smooth seas don't make a skillful sailor. Now, there's a number of ways and opportunities you can use that proverb,
Yeah.
right? And the beautiful thing is when you start doing these proverbs with your children, and they come and they hit you with a proverb at the right moment, at the right time, when
Yeah.
you might be having an issue, right? You say,
Yep.
man, this is hard. And your child says, well, Baba, smooth seas don't make a skillful sailor. You got to go through some rough passage, whatever, right? So, we
No,
get that.
you're so right.
Good stuff. It's good stuff.
I
It's good stuff.
Behind my daughter's desk, I have a wall of affirmations
Hmm.
behind
Hmm.
her, right? And that happened to me one day, and I have it at my desk. That she wrote down on a little piece of paper and slipped it to me when I was on the I was talking to somebody about something that I needed to do, and I was
Mhm.
complaining. And my daughter wrote on a piece of paper, "Will it be easy? Nope. Will it be worth it? Absolutely."
Absolutely. There it
And I
is.
blown away. I'm
Yep.
like, "What?" And her little kid
She's
writing,
talking
and I
to
had to put it on the wall next to my desk
them.
because I'm like, "Yeah, no, they hit you with those." So,
Hmm.
I know that I've seen before, that you've posted, application timeline. So where are
Hmm.
we with that right now? Can someone join Kamali Academy online, like, whenever, or do you have, like, enrollment periods?
Yeah, so we have enrollment periods. We just ended or closed our enrollment period for the spring semester that we just
Okay,
started. So it'll be open again in June,
okay.
and it'll close in August as we get ready for our August opening date for next fall.
Okay. And in the
Yep.
meantime,
Yep.
though, folks can get the other resources that we mentioned from Kamali Academy store at any
Hmm.
point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's
Always available.
the warrior classes for the warrior teacher classes
The
for
Warrior
parents.
Teacher.
So
Yep.
that's
And our homeschooling coaching as well is always available for the parents too.
all right. Well, I thank you so, so, so much. You
Thank
have
you for this conversation. Asante Sana, sister,
Sure.
for this
Yeah,
conversation.
karibu sana. So I want to make some things happen. I've been telling the listeners to the show in person, and while y'all are still here in Houston, we got to make that happen. Take advantage of the small gap of really nice weather that we'll get
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
early spring here in Houston. So look out for that. I will be reaching out to you to see what we can make happen. As you know, All Real Radio, we broadcast from the heart of Houston's historic Third Ward.
Hmm.
in project row houses. And so I would love to tap into the homeschooling community here in Houston and bring folks out for something nice, like a block party in front of the row houses or something of that sort. So we will have to talk about that and make
Absolutely.
happen. Yeah.
Let's bring it together. I'm really excited and very excited to meet the homeschoolers here in Houston so we
Oh,
can connect and grow
yeah.
together for sure.
Yeah, because I think that a lot of them don't realize that you are here. A
Mhm.
lot of folks who probably, follow along and support Kamali Academy. So yeah, we definitely will have to make that happen. I've been teasing it on numerous shows, and I know the people are sick of it. So we just gotta put something together and make it happen. But thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who tuned in, wherever you are in your homeschooling journey. There is no judgment, no shade. You are where you are right now. And if it's not where you want to be, pinpoint where you want to be and then manifest your way there. You got this. What's your last word you want to say to the people? And I'm going to let you close us out.
Revolutionary love to all of you. As Mama said, you got this. You're African, not an Africant. You know, do what you must do for your young warriors. Make sure they get an education for liberation.
And that's it. Make sure whatever you do that y'all keep it locked on All Real Radio. Stick around later this afternoon. You can catch my girl Sam Osser. She is the unconventional journalist. If you don't know, she speaks truth to power. Her platform is for the people. So make sure you stay tuned in. Other than that, we're here 24/7. If you don't already, download our app. Free, smooth listening experience. Search for All Real Radio. Until next week, you guys have a great one. Peace. Yeah. Did it.